tonight.
Appreciate you, Mark. How you doing, man?
I'm good, brother. Talk to me about what you were thinking when you made that. Because I'll be honest with you, when I read that comment, I was a little surprised, and I said, "Wow, this feels homophobic." And because I have never heard that from you before, I was genuinely taken aback and wondered why. That's why I hit you up and say, "You look, bro, like come on the show, let me know what happened,"
Definitely.
because
Well,
it was
first,
stunning to me.
and I
Tell me
want
what
to make
happened.
it clear. There's not a homophobic bone in my body. Um, and it almost feels silly that I have to kind of defend myself because when you think about it, it's just common that gay people are a part of our life and our society, and that's just what it is. And I respect that. I have many gay friends. I have gay family members. Um, I've never had a problem with the LGBTQ community. Um, you know, as I've gotten older, I've become, more knowledgeable about everything about the movement, about the lifestyle. So there's no problems with me. I've I've executive produced about 4 or 5 Source Awards, first of all, and the last Source Award was actually put on by BET, and it was more or less coming from a production standpoint. I think award shows have to be responsible for all ages and everybody watching, and you have to be you have to be conscious of that. And I think sometimes they try to push the envelope a little bit too much. Per se, I don't think it had too much to do with a gay thing as much as it did. It was forced. I felt like a performance didn't need all that. Lil Nas X, I have a great deal of admiration for him. Very, very proud of what he's done, especially as a young African American young brother. He's broken all kind of records. He's crossed over genres of music. I bought his album for Zeno, my 5-year-old, and posted him singing Old Town Road. So it has nothing to do personally with Nas. And I also want to stand corrected that he does have a song on the in the top 10 that I knew nothing about. So I want to apologize for the one statement I said that I didn't think that he had a current hit out, but he does. The Montero song, but I didn't know. So, I want to correct that, but I stand by what I say as far as it was forced and it was irresponsible. I just don't think there's a
Why was it
place.
irresponsible?
Well, I mean, to show something on an award show that's meant to be a family show. I just think
Okay,
that
so,
there's a time and place for everything.
all right, so let's. I mean, we had a night full of performances. So many performances alluded to sex, oral sex, selling dope, shooting guns, and no one said anything. And you didn't say anything when we saw women shaking their behinds, and I'm not saying they shouldn't when they're showing. When people are wearing outfits that show breasts. I'm saying if we're appealing to family values in the conservative kind of way, it seems to me that Lil Nas X wasn't far out of step from everybody else, except the fact that his kiss was with a man. I'm saying I think all that stuff is fair game on an award show that comes on at 8 o'clock at night. But if the issue is the family piece of it, why did that seem so inappropriate and not the guns and the
Well,
drugs and the shooting and the sex and the woman popping out with the baby and twerking pregnant? I mean, if those things didn't bother you from a conservative perspective, why would this?
well, Mark, you have a great point. And the BET Awards was always to me an award show that kind of held us as a culture in the highest regards, and it always had a sort of amount of class to it. I think the last couple of years it's kind of waning, maybe towards a younger crowd. But you're absolutely right, and I don't want to be a hypocrite as far as because I'm not trying to censor anybody. I just think that when it comes to when you see the women, I think you're right. I think that as a society we are kind of used to seeing that. You make a great point, but that doesn't still diminish my point about how I felt the Nas X performance was. And because I didn't mention everybody else, it still shouldn't taint my point of that particular performance. And again, I
But
didn't.
but
It's not like I'm picking
it
on
can
Nas
though.
X. You know.
Think about it like this. Think about it like this, because this is a teach and learn and dialogue between both of us. We're gonna learn from each other and build.
Yes, and I
And
appreciate it.
I want you to think about it. I want you to think about it like this. Imagine a white person. I'm going to give you 2 examples. Imagine a white person who said everything you said at the top of the show, right? I don't have a problem with black folk. I work around black folk. My world is filled with black folk. I have black friends. You know, that wouldn't necessarily mean that they couldn't say or do something racist. Doesn't mean necessarily at the core they hate black people, but it could mean that there's something there that they haven't worked through or thought about. And I think you're right when you make a really interesting and important point. You said, well, look, just because I didn't say these 4 bad things were bad doesn't mean that the 5th thing isn't bad. But the problem is, again, imagine if your son in class, right? Imagine if Zeno was in class and he was with all white classmates, and all the kids were chewing gum, all the kids were not doing their work, and the only one they pointed to was the black kid. You'd be like, wait a minute, all these white kids did something too. If only the black person gets pointed out, does that say something about the teacher's feelings about the black kid? Or if you only see the black person acting out, is there a problem?
Mark, listen, I see your point, bro. And I understand it, but you have to understand mine too. This is all new to me. I'm trying to raise a 5-year-old son, and if he's seeing performances with the devil and kissing men, of course I have to be able to explain. But the BET is a family show, and I just feel like it's not so much of Lil Nas X kissing the man as it is the whole kind of like optics of what went on. And yes, the stuff you mentioned probably does add to that, but in my world, and I want to say this correctly because I don't want to offend anybody. In my world, this is all new to me. And if my thing is, listen, I wasn't always understandable about the gay community. I had to learn, and it had to organically set in me that these are people just like me. I just feel like sometimes things could be forced, and they don't have to be. I think that Lil Nas X maybe he's trying to show that I'm gay and gay's here, but we already knew that. Everybody, like, you don't have to push the envelope so much. I think gay people are here, man. I don't want to
cut you off, bro. I got to take a. I'm with you, bro. I got to take a quick break. I want you to stay with me. I want to bring you back on the other side of the break so you can finish your thought. I don't want to interrupt you.
Definitely.
Everybody.